So in this one, we're going to be talking about the mother-slave method. Now you may have heard this from other business models because this is not specific to AI OFM. However, it is always going to be effective. This is basically marketing 101. So let's get into it. What is the mother-slave method? Mother-slave method is where you have a mother account, which is the main social media account. This is normally done on Instagram. And then there's slave accounts, which are the smaller accounts that are going to be pushing customers towards that main account. The reason this is so effective is because it's going to grow your main social media page, therefore boosting the amount of reels and organic reach you can get on that page. Obviously beneficial, right? So how is this done? Now you can just have your one original page and then make lots of slave accounts. The problem with this is that these slave accounts could cause a device ban, which is obviously not ideal. So if you are going to make lots of slave accounts, what I'd recommend doing is nurturing them slave accounts and looking after them. This is if you're doing it yourself. However, if you are outsourcing it to an agency or a marketing team to do mother slave, they're not just going to make 10 accounts. They're going to make 100 to 1,000 accounts. And this is going to be very beneficial because obviously you're doing it en masse, more funnels to that main account, so you're going to grow a lot quicker. This service isn't that cheap. It normally costs around $400 in present time. However, this can fluctuate up or down depending on the quality of the service. A lot of the time, what you may find is that they're going to be using bots to run these slave accounts. Yes, accounts may appear of your model. However, they'll be gone very quickly because the bot is going to be managing these accounts, leading to Instagram detecting that is spam and banning that account. So yes, they are effective. However, they don't really cause a longevity effect for your model. However, if you were to make the accounts by yourself, instead of making hundreds to thousands, you would make a smaller number, let's say 5 to 10. This can be done on a separate phone to your main dominant Instagram account. And what you're going to be doing is just growing these accounts as you would a normal Instagram account. Yes, they are slaves, but because they're not fully disposable slaves that you're just spamming away and getting rid of, they're slaves that are getting looked after. This means they're going to work for longer. This means they're going to grow a lot more naturally and then be able to push customers across to their main Instagram account. A lot of the time, people teach the mother slave method to have disposable Instagram accounts, make as many en masse, and pump out volume. This does work, and it used to work a lot better. However, nowadays, you're going to find a lot more positives from making real accounts and looking after them, keeping them for the longevity effect and pushing them all towards that main Instagram page. This is where it comes to what are these slave accounts going to be doing. Originally, like I said, if they were to be done with an agency or a bot, they would literally just be liking, commenting, unfollowing, doing all of this normal jazz, which we can talk through in a separate section. But nowadays, that isn't that effective because you're going to have to do it manually, or you're going to have to try hire a bot, and then the bot is then obviously going to start fucking up your Instagram accounts and they will get banned. So what are you going to do? I'd recommend turning them into real accounts. This is where you're going to be posting reels and you're going to be getting organic reach from these reels. That reach is then going to get converted across your main Instagram page, which is obviously going to be very beneficial. These accounts will also be doing some sort of clicks, so some follows, some unfollows, etc. But a lot of the time, it's not going to be managed by a bot, so it should be absolutely fine. If you don't go over the top, you'll be fine. So, how are you going to manage these accounts? Normally, you would either do it yourself or hire a VA. If you're doing it yourself, you can schedule posts internally on Instagram. They don't normally restrict reach, especially if you do it within a 24 to 48 hour time period. Scheduling posts on that time frame isn't too bad. So you can go and sit down, schedule 2 to 3 posts a day, and do that on 10 accounts, and then they're just going to be slowly ticking over the next few days. This can be done in one sitting for 2 or 3 days, nice and easy, especially if you've repurposed the reels correctly, so you can just use the same content. However, if you don't have the time to do so, you can obviously hire a VA to do this for you. Just be aware that this VA may want to be instructed very accurately, otherwise they may not understand the process and do it incorrectly, getting the account banned, which is never ideal. The main reason you want to have your main account on a separate phone is because if these slave accounts start getting banned, 2, 3, 4 accounts getting banned on one phone, then Instagram's going to give you a device ban. This isn't good because that main account is then going to be compromised with this device ban. So if you are going to do a strategy, I would recommend having 2 separate phones or maybe even 3 separate phones. These don't have to be very modern phones, but any other phone will do. Maybe you have an old one lying about, grab that, make some slave accounts on it, and push that towards your main Instagram page. So the concept of the mother-slave strategy still works. However, it just changes on how it does work. It used to be very good at doing mass messages and bot likes and bot follows, etc. Nowadays, it's a lot more effective running it manually via Reels. So keep up to date on the strategy and make sure that you follow it correctly. You may be thinking, how are we going to convert these followers across from a slave account to the main account and then main account to the fan view account? Now, this is a little bit of a complicated process and normally takes a little bit of time and skill. What you're going to do is you're going to set up the slave accounts as a subpar version of the main account. So the main account wants to be golden. You want to have a set amount of posts, normally around 20 to 30. You want to have lovely reels, lovely bio, profile picture, etc. You want to have your fan view link obviously encrypted in the bio so people know where to go. All of this is going to be set up as perfect as possible. On the slave accounts, it's going to be a miniature version. What it's going to be is about 4 to 5 posts, maybe on the main feed. Then you're going to start dropping lots of reels. And in the bio, instead of having a fan view encrypted link, you're going to have a @ to your main page. The reason you're going to do this is because you want them followers to go across your Instagram and boost your organic so you can get more and more reach. If you convert them straight across to fan view, that is fine. However, it's not really a marketing strategy to grow your main account. It's more of just growing multiple accounts and then pushing them to fan view. So it's not really a mother-slave method. Mother-slave method is you're pushing them all towards that one original account to boost that. Because if you've got 10,000 organic followers, this is going to be a lot beneficial than having an extra 5 to 10 subs on FanView. So once these slaves are set up, have the @ in the bio so they can navigate across to your main model's page to see more content of your main model. What I would recommend doing is being very careful with the usernames you use on the slave accounts. If you use, let's say, like Ella Red number 1, Ella Red number 2, Ella Red number 3, people are going to realize that your account is like Ella Red 3. They're going to be like, why is it account number 3? Is there number 1, 2, and 3? And then they're going to realize that there's lots of slave accounts. They're going to clock on that your model is actually part of an agency, and they're not really going to want to talk to you. So what I recommend doing is having like Ella Red Private, Ella Red Official, Ella Red PRV, or something like that. Because all of this kind of states that it could be a second account rather than one of multiple. Imagine it's Ella Red account 20. No one's going to really understand why the fuck a normal model would be making 20 accounts. So let's try to keep these usernames as normal and natural as possible so they can convert across. One more thing you can do as well within this mother-slave strategy is split tests niches. What I mean by this, you have 10 real accounts that you're organically growing and manually running. On each one of these real accounts, you can have a separate niche. The reason you do that is because then you can visually see which niche your model best performs in. Gamer niche here, sporting niche, traveling niche. If the gamer niche is all of a sudden blowing up again, loads of views, and people are interacting with your model, you're getting loads of conversions, then why don't you make 2 or 3 more accounts on that gamer niche? Or even put your main page slightly towards a gamer niche, that mother page. Because this is then obviously a niche that your model oscillates very well in. So doing that split test is going to show that lots of people are going to buy into your model's content if she was in that main niche. So doing that is always going to be beneficial. However, if you have kind of like an even field, maybe you want to try some other niches, or even just keep funneling them to your main model's account and just have a general model there with no specific niche, but obviously they've seen she has separate accounts so they can funnel them across. This also helps the username. You can obviously put Ella Red Gaming or something like that, because this is then going to make it look like a natural account. One thing I would mention is story posts, highlights, and call to actions. So on the slave accounts, you're going to be having a lot of call to actions to push people towards your main account. There's not really going to be call to actions for your story, call to actions for your fan view. It's all going to be call to actions to get them across to your main Instagram account. Obviously, this is where you want the traffic to be. However, on your main account, you're not going to be pushing them to the slaves or anything like that. You're going to be pushing them to your fan view. So the customers are coming in from the slaves to the main account to fan view. So on that main account, you want to have regular call to actions. You want to have regular kind of promos. The highlight is going to want to be call to actions as well. Push people to this main account because that is where you want all the traffic to funnel to. Obviously, applying the standard rules of not being too pushy in your sales. Okay, so let's talk about bots. Why we don't use bots and softwares to help us on the platform. I mentioned it briefly in the past that it did used to work and we used to use it a lot. However, Instagram has got a lot more intelligent and it understands when it is being posted from an external scheduler or a bot in comparison to a human. So an external scheduler, what that is a calendar which you have externally on a different platform other than Instagram, where you can time the posts to then get manually uploaded to these accounts. You can also use this bot to then like lots of accounts, follow lots of accounts of a specific niche or hashtag or anything like this. Instagram detects this. The reason they detect this is because they have such advanced features nowadays to be able to detect the bot activity of the likes, of the follows and unfollows, even if it is random. If no one's active on the account and all of a sudden it's getting 1 or 2 likes because someone's been active on the account for 0.5 seconds, then kind of Instagram's going to realize it's a quite smart social media platform nowadays. So try and avoid these bots because they will just get your accounts banned. If you are obviously doing this en masse, then you're going to be wanting to make accounts on your laptop or computer to prevent a kind of phone device banned. Once again, not very effective. I would not recommend using a bot or a scheduler at all.